Hello everyone, this is the third video on genetics. So we are going to continue where we left in the previous session. That is, autosomal dominant is completed in our previous session. If you missed it, please go and watch. Do not skip any disease in the genetics because these all are important. I will be teaching whatever is necessary for your boards and PYQs. So no need to skip any video. Go with the flow of the playlist. Okay. So today we are going to learn about autosomal recessive. It is one of the Mendelian inheritance disorder. So autosomal recessive, there is basic difference between autosomal dominant and recessive. First we will learn what is actually autosomal recessive disorders looks like, and then we will try to compare it with any changes how you are going to see in your pedigree chart. So let's start. Usually affects enzymatic proteins, whereas autosomal dominant you are going to see structural proteins affects, okay, and express in homozygous state, where that will be seen in heterozygous state. Okay, then here heterozygous will be carriers. Usually none of parents are affected. So this is important. Another important point comparing to autosomal dominant, there will be minimum one parent should be affected in autosomal dominant. I'm just comparing so that you'll be brushed if you have watched the autosomal dominant, and this is a spoiler to that video. If you watch this, then go back to that video. Then recurrence rate will be 25%. There it will be 50%. And there will be vertical transmission. There also it is vertical transmission. So the common point between autosomal dominant transmission is seen in autosomal recessive. That was actually I wanted to compare with it, and it has been misprinted there. Yeah, vertical transmission is not seen, but horizontal will be present. So the one more difference will be vertically is absent here, but there it is present. So I hope that was clear. So we learned autosomal recessive criteria are it affects enzymatic proteins where there is structural proteins, and express in homozygous state, and heterozygous states will be carrier, but their expression will be done only in a heterozygous condition, and none of the parents will be affected in autosomal recessive, whereas it will be affected minimum one parent will be affected and maximum it should be one, right? It's a common sense. One parent should be affected in autosomal dominant, whereas recurrence rate is 25% in autosomal recessive, whereas it is 50% in the autosomal dominant. And whereas one more criteria is vertical transmission is not seen in autosomal recessive, whereas it is seen in autosomal dominant. Yeah. And at the last point, important point, there is a skipping of generation present. So first point, you need to remember if there is skipping or not, then you can differentiate between autosomal dominant or recessive. First, let's match the criteria with the pedigree chart. See, as I said, heterozygous will be carriers. So this is a heterozygous condition, so it is a carrier state. Okay, then 25% will be affected if parent is affected. So he is a carrier, so there will be no proper affected second generation offsprings, and none of the parents will be affected. So there are no parents affected there, that is passed, and recurrence rate will be 25%, and there is skipping of generation. As you can see, there is no affected, only carriers are there, no affected, but there are skipping between these two generations, and there is a deceased person in a fourth generation. So what do you say? There is skip in a second, third, and even in first, only carriers are seen, whereas fourth there is a deceased. So it passes all the criteria. So this pedigree chart is a autosomal recessive. I put this because this is autosomal recessive. I just gave a criteria and the pedigree chart comparison so that you won't get confused when you get this kind of pedigree chart in your exam. Okay. Here it is like a carrier is shown is like this, but it can be like this also. This is also considered as carrier. In some pedigree chart they show like this and show like this also. It is a carrier will be shown with a center dot or half. Okay. There are two extra points I wanted to discuss here, because pseudo-dominant inheritance seen when a parent is carrier like this, and other one is having deceased, and recurrence rate will be obviously 50%, because let's take an example. Female will be carrier. She is a carrier and marries a deceased person. So the boy X, wherever he gives chromosomes, the children will be affected, because this is completely affected person, and one X will be spared here. So this person where one F carrier state will be given, this will be a carrier. One more X will be again a carrier. But the other two X's will be the, what you say, recessive diseased condition. When this guy's X or Y comes and merges with these two, so obviously completely disease will be seen, exposed. So this is the example. I hope if you did not understand this one, you can just what you say, rewind this part and watch it again so that you'll be clear. No need to, what you say, get confused. Only small part of what you say, X is not infected. Just take an example, that part is not affected. What will happen? That portion, wherever it goes, it becomes carrier, because that is not affected. The person opposite to what you say, husband, is already completely affected. So the half gene will be unaffected, but the other half gene will be affected. So they will be considered as a carrier. But if both the genes are chromosomes are affected, obviously it will be diseased condition. So that's it. If you did not understand till still, then just rewind it and see once again, it will be clear. Then uniparental disomy is another condition when parent is normal and child suffers from autosomal recessive disorder. This is the condition. See, the parents are not actually diseased, they are carriers. We consider them as a normal, but the children is, what do you say, autosomal recessive diseased. So this condition is uniparental disomy. So in this video, autosomal dominant is very easy to identify and what you say, pass the criteria, but autosomal recessive is difficult. But comparing to S-linked, these autosomal diseases are very easy. Okay, you should not what you say, make mistake in autosomal. If you make mistake